Hello, and welcome. Imagine waking before dawn, your mind aflame with possibilities, yet your heart heavy with the weight of 1,000 obligations. Bills, deadlines, expectations. What if the true currency of life isn't hours traded for dollars, but freedom to choose, the leverage to shape your own destiny? Today, we embark on a journey through the Almanack of Naval Ravikant to discover how real wealth lies in creating leverage and reclaiming your time. If you find this summary helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Booksnap, and comment below the title of the book you'd like us to summarize next. We'll make it happen soon. Rahul sat at his cramped desk, fluorescent lights humming overhead as code scrolled endlessly across his screen. He'd landed the dream job straight out of university. Stable salary, stock options, cushy benefits. But every evening he found himself trapped in traffic jams or conference calls, trading precious hours for incremental raises. He'd been told that hard work and long hours were the path to a comfortable life. Yet comfort felt like a gilded cage. One night, after a particularly grueling 14-hour day, Rahul scrolled through a podcast list and stumbled on an interview titled "Getting Rich Without Getting Lucky," Naval Ravikant. Intrigued by the promise of achieving wealth through wisdom rather than just hustle, he listened with jittery anticipation. Naval's words cut through the static of code and corporate jargon. Seek wealth, not money or status. Wealth is assets that earn while you sleep. Those words echoed long after Rahul turned off his headphones. In them lay a hidden logic. While money is how we transfer time to others, and status is the approval we seek from peers, wealth is the freedom to live on your own terms. For the first time, he saw his salary not as the ultimate prize, but as a token that could buy him the leverage he craved. Real wealth, stocks, businesses, intellectual property, could generate income without him swapping hours for dollars. That evening, Rahul reflected on his life as a ledger of lost time. Each commute, each meeting, each request for just a quick fix had cost him moments he could never reclaim. He realized that while money grows linearly, more hours, more pay, wealth grows exponentially through leverage, products, code, networks, and media that reach many with minimal incremental time. Naval's analogy crystallized his awakening. Productize yourself. When your session ends, leverage can continue indefinitely. A single software library once written could serve thousands of developers. A book, once published, could teach millions without additional effort. A video, once posted, could inspire viewers long after the creator logged off. The key lay not in trading time, but in building assets. Rahul felt a surge of clarity and relief. The path forward was no longer a treadmill of endless sprints but a strategic quest to build enduring levers. He vowed to shift his focus away from billable hours and toward asset creation. Open-source contributions, a specialized blog, and a suite of automation tools that solved real pain points for his peers. These assets, once live, would generate value irrespective of his clock-in or clock-out. Yet the shift demanded more than a new to-do list. It required an internal revolution. Rahul grappled with the ingrained belief that time spent awake must equate to productivity. Naval had warned, if you can't code, write books. If you can't write books, speak at events. If you can't do that, then just blog. The medium mattered less than the principle of creating leverage through public, reusable work. Over the next weeks, Rahul began his transformation. He set aside mornings before work to write blog posts about niche challenges in his field. He recorded short screencasts explaining solutions, posted them on an online platform, and invited feedback. He donated code to open-source projects, documenting his thought processes so that his insights would guide others long after he moved on. Each creation felt like planting a seed, one that, with time and care, could grow beyond his own lifespan. Colleagues noticed the change. Where once Rahul's desk remained buried in bug reports, Now it displayed a growing track record of public contributions and side projects. His reputation shifted from reliable code monkey to thought leader in the office, and soon industry peers reached out with collaboration invitations. Each asset he created multiplied his impact, attracting opportunities that required little additional time on his part. Through this awakening, Rahul discovered that true wealth flows from building, not from busy work. While his peers competed for the next promotion review, he invested in systems and content that continued to yield returns even on days he chose to rest. He reclaimed evenings for family dinners and weekend hikes, secure in the knowledge that his assets, blog archives, code libraries, video tutorials, kept working. In the hush before dawn, Rahul now writes his next blog entry, not with the urgency of a task to complete, but with the calm purpose of a creator planting seeds. Each keystroke resonates with freedom. Freedom from the next urgent ticket, from the ceaseless chase of hours, and from the confines of a purely transactional life. He is learning that while money buys the option to live differently, wealth, the assets he builds, grants him the power to do so. So, listen for the call within your own routine. Which of your skills, stories, or creations could become assets that earn while you sleep? In that whisper lies the first step on the path to real wealth. A wealth built not on overtime, but on the timeless echoes of your unique contributions. Ever since she was a child, Maya wandered through life with an insatiable curiosity, dismantling clocks, sketching the flight paths of birds, and devouring books on everything from biochemistry to Buddhist philosophy. Yet by her late 20s, she found herself tethered to a conventional corporate role, a management consultant whose days consisted of slide decks and client calls. Her diverse interests, once a source of wonder, now felt like a confusing jumble unfit for any single career path. One evening, after presenting the 10th identical best practices framework to yet another boardroom of executives, Maya felt a hollow ache. She recalled a mentor's offhand remark from years ago. You have a mind that sees patterns others miss. Don't waste it on cookie-cutter solutions. Those words, once flattering but vague, now resonated as a call to uncover her unique superpower. Naval Ravikant emphasizes the power of specific knowledge, that rare blend of interests, experiences, and talents that no one else can replicate. Specific knowledge, Naval says, cannot be taught in a classroom or outsourced. It is born from curiosity and refined through passion. For Maya, her unique superpower lay at the intersection of behavioral psychology and data analytics, a way of understanding human choices backed by numbers. Determined to realign her path, Maya carved out early mornings to binge study decision science, applying her newfound insights to personal projects. A blog analyzing why people resisted small habit changes, an experiment using A/B tests to improve her morning routine, and local workshops where she led friends through interactive choice architecture exercises. Each experiment felt like free play, but beneath the surface, Maya was honing a distinctive expertise. As weeks passed, she recognized patterns no traditional consultant would spot. The way social dynamics influenced corporate strategy, the hidden biases that skewed boardroom decisions, the emotional levers that turned data into action. This blend of empathy, psychology, and quantitative analysis was her diamond in the rough, her specific knowledge. Bolstered by this clarity, Maya drafted a proposal for her firm's leadership team, a pilot program integrating behavioral design into their standard consulting toolkit. They laughed at first. Behavioral science? Too soft, they said. Yet Maya persisted, offering a small internal workshop. Colleagues trickled in, skeptical but curious. When she guided them to reframe a client's sales pitch through loss aversion prompts, the room erupted with excitement as conversion metrics jumped overnight. Her experiment proved the point. Specific knowledge isn't a footnote. It's a decisive competitive edge. Maya's firm scrambled to onboard her as the lead on a new behavioral strategy practice. Clients clamored for her insights. Retail brands looking to boost sustainable purchases, nonprofits striving to nudge donors toward monthly giving, tech startups designing onboarding flows that felt more human. Within months, Maya transitioned out of the generic consultant role into a hybrid opportunity. She co-founded a boutique advisory firm that married data science with behavioral design. Her superpower became the engine driving tenfold growth for clients, and her workdays transformed from trite frameworks to pioneering experiments that shaped product experiences worldwide. Naval's lesson shines through Maya's journey. Cultivate your specific knowledge by pursuing what feels like play, not work. When we follow our curiosity into deep mastery, whether it's late-night coding challenges, weekend workshops, or self-paced reading, we build a skill set that resonates uniquely with our authentic selves. That is the knowledge no algorithm can replicate and no competitor can commoditize. Maya's story invites us to listen for the whispers of passion that guide our curiosities. Perhaps it's your childhood obsession with star maps, your knack for decoding social dynamics at family gatherings, or your weekend hobby of crafting DIY contraptions. These seemingly disparate threads, when woven together, create a tapestry of specific knowledge that becomes your superpower. As you reflect on your own mosaic of experiences, ask, what feels effortless yet electrifying? Where do your conversations linger when time slips away? In those pockets of joy lies the nucleus of your unique offering, knowledge that amplifies your impact and forms the backbone of wealth, not through hours sold, but through value created. Maya's leap from generic consultant to behavioral strategist reminds us that our greatest leverage emerges when we align our work with the specific knowledge we alone can offer. In that alignment, we don't just earn more, we become the rarest version of ourselves, unmistakable, irreplaceable, and infinitely valuable. Each morning, Priya's inbox flooded with client questions, routine requests that she'd answered 100 times over. As a financial planner, she'd mastered the art of personalized consultations, walking families through budgets, investments, and legacy goals. Yet, despite her dedication, her impact was capped. She could only serve as many clients as her calendar allowed. The rest, dozens of hopeful households, remained in limbo. One evening, exhausted from back-to-back video calls, Priya recalled Naval's principle. Leverage is what separates the wealthy from the working class. Labor, capital, or people. But the ultimate leverage is code and media, products that work while you sleep. She realized that her expertise, years of guiding clients through financial decisions, could transcend her hourly limits if she packaged it into scalable assets. Inspired, Priya sketched two paths on her whiteboard. The first, her current route, depended entirely on her time. 1 client per hour, 8 per day, 40 per week. The second, a tenfold vision, involved creating educational media, e-courses, webinars, a library of financial planning templates, and an interactive budgeting app. Instead of trading hours for dollars, she would build tools that repurposed her knowledge infinitely. She began with a short video series, recording her computer screen as she walked through common planning scenarios. Building an emergency fund, understanding asset allocation, tax strategies for freelancers. Each video, once edited and narrated, could serve hundreds of viewers. She supplemented the series with downloadable worksheets, interactive spreadsheets that applied her templates directly to users' own data. At first, Priya worried this digital shift might dilute the personal touch clients valued, but she reminded herself of the principle of leverage. Media amplifies impact without a proportional increase in effort. She launched the course on her website, offering early access to a handful of loyal clients. Their feedback was enthusiastic. They loved learning at their own pace, revisiting complex concepts, and applying the worksheets in real time. Buoyed by their responses, Priya expanded her offerings. Live group webinars where she answered submitted questions, automated scheduling for follow-up sessions, and a community forum where members supported one another. Each new element required setup time, but no additional hours once live. Her calendar, once a frantic grid, now held only a fraction of her total client interactions, yet her reach and revenue soared. Naval's insight about creating permanent, scalable assets had unlocked a tenfold lever for Priya. Instead of her day ending when her last video call concluded, her educational products continued working through the night. New sign-ups at midnight, worksheet downloads at dawn, forum discussions around the clock. Her knowledge, once confined to her personal bandwidth, had become an enduring resource. This leverage also bought Priya precious freedom. With her core courses established, she delegated routine client onboarding to an assistant, freeing her to conceptualize advanced modules, deep dives into estate planning, intergenerational wealth transfer, and ethical investing. She scheduled her own innovation hours, a weekly block devoted to exploring new financial technologies rather than fielding client questions. Her leveraged model had another ripple effect. It democratized access to quality financial advice. Families of modest means, once priced out of one-hour consultations, could enroll in her introductory courses at a fraction of the cost. Community nonprofits invited her to speak at seminars, using her materials to educate broader audiences. Through leverage, Priya fulfilled a deeper value: service at scale. Yet, building products demanded new skills: video editing, course platform management, community moderation. Priya embraced the learning curves, drawing on her specific knowledge and curiosity. She treated each platform's hiccups not as setbacks, but as signals for iteration, another layer of leverage that would compound her impact. Over the following year, Priya's business transformed. She still conducted one-on-one sessions, now reserved for high-impact, bespoke planning, while her on-demand courses generated consistent, growing revenue. Her calendar no longer dictated her income. Her assets did. And in her newfound time, she pursued passion projects, writing a book on conscious finance and mentoring emergent women entrepreneurs. Priya's journey illustrates the heart of 10x leverage. Shift from time-bound service to productized expertise, from linear growth to exponential reach. When we transform our hard-earned knowledge into media, code, or scalable frameworks, we break free from the transactional trade of hours for dollars. We gain the power to awake each morning to a world where our creations continue to teach, guide, and uplift long after we step away. As you reflect, ask yourself, what unique insights could you package into products that extend your influence? What tools, videos, articles, apps, templates could serve 10 times the audience you serve today? By embracing leverage, you morph from individual contributor into creator of enduring impact, building a life where your work multiplies rather than exhausts. The conference room fell silent as Lena pressed "Submit" on her proposal, an unflinching admission of failure. Her startup's pivot had flopped, user metrics tanked, and investors were restless. In that moment, she felt the familiar impulse to deflect blame, to point at market conditions, competitors, or even a misaligned team. Yet something Naval Ravikant had said months earlier echoed in her mind. The 3 most harmful addictions are heroin, carbohydrates, and a monthly salary. All offer you security in exchange for your freedom. Lena realized that the safest path, clinging to excuses, was also the one that chained her to a victim's mindset. Closing her eyes, she inhaled deeply. She remembered Naval's core teaching on radical accountability. Once you own every outcome, good or bad, you reclaim the freedom to change them. Blame is a surrender of agency. Accountability is a declaration of authorship over your life's story. Lena straightened, looked each investor in the eye, and said, "This outcome is on me. I chose our strategy, and I accept full responsibility. Here's how I'll fix it." Her honesty crackled through the room. Rather than the critique she'd braced for, she received nods of respect. Investors appreciated her candor and feared less that her next report would come wrapped in euphemisms. Team members, who had grown wary of half-truths, felt a surge of trust. In that moment, Lena experienced the alchemy of radical accountability, a simple yet profound shift from defensiveness to empowerment. Back at her desk, Lena drafted her new battle plan. She listed every decision that had gone awry: the product feature they'd overbuilt, the market they'd misread, the feedback they'd ignored. Then she reframed each point into questions of agency. What could I have done differently? What signals did I miss? How will I act now to course correct? This exercise, Naval insists, is not self-flagellation, but constructive ownership, a practice that transforms mistakes into maps for growth. One of Lena's entries read, "I chose to prioritize social features over core functionality because it felt trend-aligned. Moving forward, I will anchor decisions in user data, not hype." From that insight, she rallied her engineers to rebuild the product's backbone, shelving flashy add-ons. She held a retrospective with her designers, celebrating elements that resonated and learning from those that didn't. By treating failure as a teacher rather than a tormentor, Lena harnessed accountability as a force multiplier. Across the city, in a humble co-working space, Marcus, once a collaborator impressed by Lena's tenacity, applied radical. Naval teaches that owning decisions rewires identity. When we repeatedly choose and then execute, we shift from passive reactors to intentional actors. Lena no longer saw herself as a failed founder, yet radical accountability also requires boundaries. Lena learned to distinguish between what she could control, her team, her product roadmap, her response to feedback, and what lay beyond her reach: market whims, competitor moves, random chance. Naval's Counsel: focus on the actions you can. By planting her efforts firmly in her own sphere of influence, Lena avoided the paralysis of trying to control every external variable. 1 month later, at a product demo, Lena introduced the rebuilt platform. She narrated the journey of. Lena's story illustrates that freedom is born when we choose to own every aspect of our lives. Blame is a cage. Accountability is the key. When we embrace responsibility, we unlock creativity to solve problems, resilience to weather setbacks, and the authenticity that inspires trust. As you step into each day's arena, be it bow. Late one winter evening, Marcus sat by his trading desk, chart patterns reflecting in his weary eyes as the market gyrated wildly. Though he'd studied investment theses and rebalanced portfolios with precision, today he felt at the mercy of headlines, his heart pounding each time a notification pinged. A tweet, a scandal, a sudden rate decision. His trading performance, once stable, now oscillated with every tremor in the financial world. Across the desk lay a coffee-stained notebook where, months earlier, he had scribbled Naval Ravikant's words. "Desire is a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. Judgment is the skill to decide under uncertainty." In that moment, Marcus realized that his discomfort stemmed not from outside events, but from his own inability to see clearly through the fog of noise and emotion. He craved clarity, an unbreakable judgment to navigate uncertainty with calm confidence. Naval teaches that judgment is the most important skill, cultivated through experience, reflection, and a balanced mind. It cannot be outsourced to algorithms or textbooks. It emerges when we blend data, wisdom, and inner equanimity. For Marcus, the path to unbreakable judgment began with a simple promise: to pause and reflect before every trade, to transform impulsive reactions into deliberate choices. He retrieved a second notebook, its pages blank and inviting. Here, he would record the decision framework behind each move, the facts he knew, the assumptions he weighed, the worst-case scenarios he could tolerate, and the potential upside he sought. For every trade influenced by emotion, fear of missing out, or panic selling, he jotted a note. What drove this feeling? Does it align with my framework? Often, he found that his emotions masked cognitive biases: recency bias, overconfidence, or herd instincts borrowed from market narratives. To strengthen his judgment, Marcus introduced a daily market journal ritual. Before sunrise, he reviewed the previous day's positions, comparing actual outcomes with his expectations. He asked, "What did I foresee correctly? Where did I err? Was my analysis faulty, or did the market defy logic?" He recorded these insights and assigned each trade a confidence score, high, medium, low, based on the strength of his conviction and the quality of information available. This practice of self-audit grounded Marcus in reality. He began to spot patterns. His high-confidence trades, built on solid fundamentals, often succeeded, while his low-confidence, emotion-driven moves typically faltered. By allocating capital accordingly, leaning into his strong convictions and limiting bets on gut feelings, he steadily improved his win rate and reduced his stress. But true judgment demands more than post-mortems. It thrives in the crucible of deliberate practice. Naval recommends thought experiments. Imagining extreme scenarios, global recessions, regulatory crackdowns, disruptive technologies, and exploring how they would impact one's portfolio. Marcus spent a Sunday afternoon plotting out black swan contingencies. What if interest rates doubled overnight? What if a major index imploded? He then designed fire drills for each scenario, predefined responses he could enact swiftly and calmly, rather than scrambling under panic. Marcus also understood that mental resilience is as crucial as analytical rigor. He adopted daily mindfulness, brief moments of silence to center his mind before market opens. In those minutes, he acknowledged anxieties, released the urge to overtrade, and reminded himself, "I observe markets. I do not react to every ripple." That internal pause, Naval says, is the bridge between stimuli and response, the birthplace of sound judgment. Over time, Marcus's trading evolved. He no longer chased headlines or second-guessed every dip. Instead, he relied on his framework, trusting the calibration of his past reflections. When a sudden geopolitical flashpoint rattled global markets, he assessed its actual impact on sectors he followed, compared it to his fire drill plans, and acted only where conviction aligned with risk tolerance. His confidence grew, not arrogance but the rooted calm that springs from tested judgment. Marcus's gains were no longer measured solely in portfolio returns. He noticed downstream effects, deeper sleep, easier conversations with his family about market moves, and a surprising lightness even on turbulent trading days. His mind, once a battleground of fear and greed, had become a steady vessel, guided by unbreakable judgment. Judgment, Naval reminds us, compounds like financial returns. Each decision improves the clarity of the next. Each reflection refines the lens through which we view uncertainty. Over years, Marcus's collected notes, thought experiments, and mindfulness rituals coalesced into an inner library of insights, a personalized mental model that no algorithm could replicate. In the broader canvases of life, career moves, relationships, personal challenges, this cultivated judgment served him well. He applied the same framework to evaluating job offers, weighing not just salary but culture fit, growth potential, and long-term satisfaction. He navigated personal crossroads, when to move cities, when to start a family, with the same deliberate pause and structured analysis honed at his trading desk. Unbreakable judgment, then, emerges not from never facing mistakes, but from learning deeply from each misstep and building resilient practices. It is the alchemy of humility and confidence, knowing what you know, aware of what you don't, and designing systems to thrive amid uncertainty. As dawn breaks on the trading floor, Marcus reviews his framework one last time, watching the markets awaken. In his journal, he writes a single line: "Judgment is the compass I carry through life's storms." Then, with unshakable calm, he places his first trade, an act not of bravado, but of quiet mastery born from the disciplined fusion of analysis, reflection, and inner serenity. Miles walked the narrow path beside the monastery's koi pond, each step a meditation on life's quiet truths. In his youth he had chased every ambition, degrees, promotions, accolades, believing external validation would finally still his restless spirit. Yet each new milestone brought only brief satisfaction, followed by a deeper longing. At 40, burned out and bereft of joy, he sought a different kind of wealth. Inner peace. He found himself on a silent meditation retreat, where the masters spoke of desire as a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. Miles realized that his perpetual striving, ever more titles, ever more possessions, kept him shackled to a cycle of dissatisfaction. His desires had outpaced his capacity to savor the present. Naval Ravikant teaches that true happiness arises when we unlearn unhealthy desires and cultivate self-mastery. Miles's path began with letting go. In the monastery's stillness, he observed cravings as passing clouds, recognizing their shape but not clinging to them. Each moment of awareness peeled back a layer of unease, revealing a still core of contentment. Upon returning home, Miles integrated daily practices: a morning silence, gratitude journaling, and a single long inhale-exhale pause before each meal. He resisted the urge to fill empty moments with screens or schedules, finding instead that spaciousness itself was a treasure. Old desires, luxury watches, corner offices, lost their gleam as he discovered the abundance within the everyday: his daughter's laughter, sunlight on oak floors, the rhythmic hum of a simple life. He also re-examined his relationships. Naval points out that compounding friendships, nurturing a few deep bonds, yields far greater joy than chasing social status. Miles reached out to old friends, arranging monthly walks where they shared stories without agendas. These conversations, free of pretense, wove a network of trust and belonging that enriched his days more profoundly than any promotion ever could. In business, he applied the same principle of desire minimalism. Instead of expanding his consultancy with more clients, he chose only projects aligned with his values, legacy work with nonprofits that resonated with his purpose. He declined high-paying but misaligned offers, knowing that integrity and joy would compound over a lifetime more effectively than any dollar amount. Over time, Miles discovered that richness often lies in subtraction, removing needless desires to reveal the wealth already present. His laughter returned, unforced and genuine. His sleep deepened. His work flourished, free from the stress of relentless pursuit. In embracing minimalism of desire, he uncovered a profound style of living, wealthy not in possessions, but in presence. Naval's inner alchemy reminds us that happiness is not a destination, but a practice of continuous unlearning, tossing aside contracts with dissatisfaction and choosing, instead, the freedom to appreciate each breath. When we cultivate contentment within, the world's bounty unfolds naturally, and we become rich in the only currency that truly matters: peace of mind. In the autumn of his life, Javier rose before dawn to tend the small vegetable garden he had planted decades earlier. Each row of tomatoes, kale, and basil was a living testament to patience, resilience, and the quiet power of daily care. He knelt in the cool soil, hands smoothing earth around tender seedlings, and felt a profound gratitude for the wisdom that had guided him here, a life woven from the threads of health, habits, and long-term vision. Years ago, Javier was a whirlwind of ambition, launching startups, chasing investors, and burning the candle at both ends. His days blurred into nights, and weekends dissolved into pitch meetings. When he first encountered Naval Ravikant's counsel that playing the long-term game with specific people, compounding health, wealth, and happiness, he dismissed it as a platitude for the leisure class. Yet a sudden health scare, a diagnosis of early hypertension, slowed him to a standstill and reframed success as a marathon, not a sprint. In recovery, Javier embarked on a quest to design a life where small, health-affirming choices would compound into vibrant longevity. He swapped energy drinks for green smoothies, replaced late-night screen binges with quiet reading, and established a ritual of evening stretches that honored the temple of his body. With each mindful breath, his blood pressure eased, and the frantic urge to chase every opportunity subsided into thoughtful discernment. Naval reminds us that health is the foundation upon which all other accomplishments rest. Without vitality, wealth is hollow and ambition is brittle. Javier learned that neglecting sleep, movement, or nutrition exacted hidden tolls on performance and joy. By investing in his body with the same diligence he once reserved for spreadsheets, he unlocked mental clarity and energy reserves that fueled more sustainable success. But longevity is about more than physical health. It's also the cultivation of deep relationships that enrich each year. Javier and his wife, Lena, had grown distant amid their respective careers, their conversations reduced to logistics and obligations. Inspired by Naval's emphasis on compounding friendships, they instituted a weekly story night, an uninterrupted hour to share memories, hopes, and reflections over tea. These rituals rekindled their connection, weaving intimacy into the fabric of their days. He extended this mindset to his social circle, reaching out to old college friends for monthly dinners. They laughed over shared meals, revisited youthful adventures, and offered mutual support through life's evolving chapters. These gatherings, Naval says, are like compounding interest for the heart, each meeting building trust and warmth that magnify over years. As Javier entered his 70s, his business ventures had transitioned into mentorship roles. He advised young founders not only on strategy but on playing the long game, choosing partners with whom they could grow, designing products with enduring value, and prioritizing ethical decisions that would sustain reputations across decades. He emphasized that the reputational capital built through integrity and generosity compounds like an evergreen asset, outlasting market cycles and fleeting trends. In parallel, Javier committed to lifelong learning. He set a modest goal: read one new book each month outside his comfort zone: poetry, physics, philosophy. Each volume opened fresh vistas of thought, preventing intellectual atrophy and sparking ideas that fed both his ventures and his inner life. Naval's counsel rings true. Knowledge itself compounds, unlocking ever greater capabilities as insights build upon one another. Crucially, Javier recognized that habit formation is not a one-off affair, but a continuous alignment of daily actions with long-term goals. He refined his morning routine over decades: meditation, journaling, light exercise, treating each ritual as an anchor for both resilience and reflection. When travel or illness disrupted these patterns, he adapted with compassion: a shorter meditation, a gentle walk, a phone call with a friend. In these adjustments, he preserved the essence of his habits even as life's currents shifted. One crisp morning, as frost edged the garden leaves, Javier paused mid-trowel to watch a robin feed its fledglings. He felt the soft chord of satisfaction, the culmination of years dedicated to health, relationships, wisdom, and habits. His blueprint had evolved, chapters unfolding through seasons of growth and rest, of bold leaps and quiet recoveries. He embodied the Almanac's final teachings: a life not measured by transient victories, but by the cumulative grace of daily choices and the contentment of a journey well tended. So, as you reflect on your own path, consider the soil you're planting today: your body, your relationships, your mind, your rituals. Know that each seed sown with intention can grow into a majestic legacy over the long haul. Naval reminds us that the only way to win is to be here for the very long term. Embrace habits that nourish, friendships that uplift, learning that deepens, and choices that honor both your present and your future self. In the golden light of dusk, Javier gently watered his young sprouts, whispering a silent blessing: "May you root deep, grow strong, and bear fruit for years to come." In that simple act, he knew he was living the Almanac's ultimate chapter, crafting a life of sustained wealth, health and happiness that would linger long after any singular achievement. 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 Achievement.